talking to my mom the other day, and she's a college professor. She's getting ready to teach her students about life and budgeting and stuff. And she mentioned she just doesn't understand how young people are affording to live these days because salaries just have not caught up to the cost of living. And yeah, she's right. I told her, you just have to be so strategic about it these days. I mean, I'm 26 and I make low six figures now, and I'm so grateful for it, but it's definitely not what I thought it would be. The reality I've learned is that you really have to be so intentional with your money.
Welcome to Pegasus versus the World, where we take on challenges, comedy, trending topics, and some travel.
City boy! City boy!
All right, this is interesting. What it's like making 100K in 2025. This is really a unique topic because I remember, I'm trying to think of the year. So I started throwing concerts in the year 2010 for real, and I started making a little bit of money. But I remember my goal was always to make $100,000 within a year. That was always my goal, and it was a lofty goal. And I remember in that time frame, let's say from 2013. You got to take it with a grain of salt too, because I'm an independent entrepreneur. So like on paper, I never really made 100K, right? Taxable income. I never made that. It's hard to explain because when you have a company, there's certain things you could utilize for your business as write-offs, but they also kind of they're also very, very useful or applicable in your real life. And me being a public figure, working on YouTube, creating videos, there's a bunch of stuff that I can write off that's advantageous to my life in general. So it's just kind of interesting. But I just remember when I was trying to get to this mark she's talking about, and it seemed like when I got super close to that mark, this is probably around 2017-ish. And then it was like, oh, snap, I'm going to do this. And I promise y'all, when 2020 hit, everything shifted. Everything. During 2020, they were giving out the money. It didn't hit right away, but that slow churning of the devaluation of the money, the inflation, the higher cost of groceries. To this day, the higher cost of groceries is it still kind of blows my mind what I'm spending on just groceries monthly for my family. And, 100K looks so, I was just like, that was the goal. Like 100K is going to be it. Once I hit that, it's just game time. Again, I live in Colorado, which is a little more expensive of a market, but it's not California, New York, or, Hawaii, right? Like these places that are like crazy expensive. So I think it depends on where you live and making something like this. But I don't know. I thought this was a good conversation piece because I remember that number, that being I got to hit this 100K and being so excited to get to that point. And then when I got to that point and, was consistent with that a couple of years, I was like, oh, we're comfortable. We can do this. We can do that. I can invest. I can, save a little money, pay off these vehicles, right? And then 2020 hit. It just wasn't the same. It was like, golly, and then also having kids because, my youngest is only 1 year old, she was born in 2024 and there's prices attached with that as well. Anyways, let's get into this because there's something here. And I think it's interesting to hear people's take. I'd love to hear your guys' take in the comments.
And she's today, and she's a college.
Before we get into
So I was talking to my mom.
Before we get into it, this is her channel. Reagan Dari or Dari, whatever. If you want to check her out on the TikTok stuff. I'm Black Pegasus. Link in the description to my other channels. Let's go.
So I was talking to my mom the other day, and she's a college professor. She's getting ready to teach her students about life and budgeting and stuff. And she mentioned she just doesn't understand how young people are affording to live these days because salaries just have not caught up to the cost of living. And yeah, she's right. I told her, you just have to be so strategic about it these days. I mean, I'm 26 and I make low six figures now, and I'm so grateful for it, but it's definitely not what I thought it would be. The reality
You know what's crazy is she's making a low six figures at 26. And when I was 26, because of inflation and stuff, that's probably like making okay. So let's say she's making, I don't know, she's in her 100K phase, right? She's making about, I'm just going to say 100K to keep it easy. When I was young, when I was her age, 26, money had more value. So that would mean she's probably making like 70K a year. Bro, I was so broke at her age. I didn't even start making money until I was like 31, right? In 2010, I started throwing shows and I made money, but I was so far in debt. It didn't really, it took like a year of like making money consistently to be like, oh, okay, I'm starting to get out of credit card debt. Oh, snap. Cause I was a starving artist, rap artist. So I just thought that was dope. Like, I'm like, two things are here. One, she's making a really good amount of money for her age. And if she just does this consistently, she's going to be great in her life. However, the AI and the technology field that's coming for a lot of jobs, I don't know if it's going to come for her job. I don't know what she does. But that's where I'm like, yo, you're doing this right now, but that could literally change in 1 to 3 years. And that's what is cataclysmic to me, right? The price of living and stuff is already crazy. But if you aren't in certain fields, um, there's going to be so much disruption in the next, in my opinion, in the next 2 to 5 years. There's going to be, I think it's going to be chaotic. We'll see. I think they can do things to balance it out and make it not as wild. But bro, these machines and learning technologies are coming for people's jobs, and a lot of them.
I've learned is that you really have to be so intentional with your money in order to set yourself up well. I mean, I feel very lucky that I can invest into my 401k and save on top of that, and hopefully it pays off in the future. But I definitely don't have as much money left over for fun as I thought I would at this income level. I graduated college in 2021, right as inflation was like really spiking and the housing market was just going insane. And so my husband and I literally had to save up $100,000 just to buy like a small house outside the city, and not be.
Which is probably a good look now because now house costs spiked. But think about that, putting 100. So she's probably in corporate and do so. The way I process things is like I personally am not putting $100,000 into a house because I could put that 100,000 and make it grow faster in other vehicles, like investing in my business, certain other vehicles. So it just depends on how they maneuvered it. The way the numbers are right now for houses, it doesn't seem like the greatest investment in my opinion because of the interest rate, because of a bunch of different things. And again, I'm positioned uniquely in the market where I could directly put my money into a business and see of more, I see more bottom line basically because the percentages are higher investing in businesses if you can make the business flourish. So I think that's interesting, but it sounds like they're actually doing really well. Yikes. Bro, I wish I was on fire in my 20s. I was just out there trying to be a rapper, chasing women, doing the blah, blah, blah. Bro, man, bro, if I was super laser focused back then, I'd be crazy right now.
Just to buy like a small house outside the city, and not be house poor. And, we couldn't do that before interest rates also went up really high. And when I first graduated, I only made like $55,000, and rent easily took up 35% of my take-home pay without investing, and it was like a not so great apartment. So I will say I definitely have seen the benefit of growing my income over the years. So I think 100K is still a really good salary, especially compared to what I know others are living on these days. But I think if you want to build wealth, you just have to be so intentional about saving and investing and about getting to that salary range these days, because it's definitely not the same as it used to be. So what do y'all think? Do y'all think 100K is still like an aspirational benchmark salary to get to? Or what number do you think would actually feel comfortable living on in 2025?
So if you just, so a couple things here. One, she's talking about this from the level, it doesn't sound like they have kids. And throwing kids into the mix adds a little bit of complexity, right? With insurance, the cost. So at the money level they're at, they have to pay for their own health insurance, right? There is universal health care in America, but it's only for poor people, right? And it's a very, like, it's, once I think you start making anywhere from $25,000 to $30,000 a year, which is not that much money, you're not applicable for Medicaid, you know. However, you could be in a position where you're making 50,000 or 60,000 a year. And if you have enough kids, you can actually be on Medicaid. Now that might switch with these new admins and stuff like that, but typically they take care of people who are at a certain threshold financially in America, which is very interesting because I always thought when I was on Medicaid, and me and what wifey were on Medicaid, I always felt like I was being looked down upon, and I was just like, oh, I'm that guy, right? However, once I got to a level where I had to buy my own health insurance and my kids, it's horrible. Like we're always out of network, and we have good healthcare insurance, but it's like stupid little stuff. Oh, this one's out of network, this, that, and the other. It's always some bullshit, always, and it's always way more expensive than you thought it would be. And I was like, damn, I don't know why I was tripping on Medicaid. Medicaid's actually fire. Like it's just it takes all the headache of healthcare away. So, anyways, she's speaking from that perspective. I think 100K is perfectly fine, especially if you're single or if you're married or have a partner and your partner is generating like in these ranges of 60 to 100 as well. You guys are doing phenomenal. Phenomenal. No, you might not have as much money to vacation and do certain things, but you can live a super comfortable, happy lifestyle and balance it with some fun times and vacation pretty easily. Um, if you have a family, if you have two kids, minimum 150,000 a year. And see, we're not talking about is it the take home? Is she taking home 100K? Or is she making 100K then getting taxed? And, you know, after taxes, she's not taking home 100K. It's like, what are we talking about here? It's very specific. So I'm curious what you guys think. What makes life, would make life super comfortable at this point? Um, but being in the position I'm in, yeah, like, you have to earn extra for kids to be able to travel and do things, which is not a necessity, right? I hadn't traveled, bro. I hadn't even eaten out in restaurants until I like started hitting my 30s. I remember like not really being able to take my girlfriends on dates. I really had to dial in and get my life together before I was able to just do what people in America, I noticed people consider luxury necessity. I never did. I never drank alcohol, so I never spent extra money on that. I never smoked, just a bunch of different things, and I was still like broke. So now that I'm finally figuring things out, the key that she said is being strategic with your money. It's true. Being strategic is so important from investing and saving, right? Covering your bills, you know, and hitting goals and stuff like that. I would like to own a home. That's one of the things I would like to do. I just don't prioritize it because I'm prioritizing my kids' future. And I know I'll own a home because my family home is going to be passed down to me, my dad's family home. So that's kind of cool. But I would like to personally, you know, get something. But, you know, again, I want to prioritize business and things that are going to grow so I can hand those things down to my kiddos and they have some wheels that are churning for them, just in case, you know, at some point I will be absent, you know, meaning at some point I won't be on this planet, and I just want them to be taken care of, and that's my main focus. But I think 100K is nice, dog. 100K is nice, even in Colorado, in an expensive place. You just got to figure out where, like, you don't want to live in prime time Denver because you can't afford the rent, right? You want to, you know, find a place that it's strategic, just like she said. She hit it on the nose. 100K a year is nice, especially if you're single or you have a partner and they're doing something similar. You're doing fantastic. There's nothing to complain about at all. And I just came back from Mexico, dog. If I'm being honest, if you're making 55 or 60K a year, you're good. If you could just be strategic, you can figure it out. You're doing just fine. Um, Anyways, that's my take. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'll holler.
City boy, city boy.